Good afternoon, dear members of the Specialized Academic Council, the applicant, and those present. At one time, Specialized Academic Council DF 64.055.035 at Simon Kuznets Kharkiv National University of Economics with the right to accept for consideration and conduct a one-time defense of Цихетнер-Хіртенлінер Даніела's thesis for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of knowledge 07 Management and Administration. In the specialty 073 Management was established by the order number 284 of 11th of August 2023 on the formation of a one-time specialized academic council with the right to accept for consideration and conduct a one-time defense of the applicant's thesis for the purpose of awarding her the degree of Doctor of Philosophy of Simon Kuznets Kharkiv National University of Economics. The Specialized Academic Council DF 64.055.035 was registered in the information system of the National Agency for Quality Assurance of Higher Education (NAQA) on the 10th of December 2023. Message identification number 8583, ID of the Specialized Academic Council 3171. So the list of our members. The Specialized Scientific Council of Simon Kuznets Kharkiv National University of Economics, DF 64.055.035 includes Head of the Council, Tatiana Antonovna Vlasenko, it's me, Doctor of Science in Economics, Professor, Head of the Department of Enterprise Economics and Business Organization, Simon Kuznets, Kharkiv National University of Economics. Our reviewers, welcome. Inga Alexeyevna Shapovalova. Inga, hello, glad to see you. Doctor of Science in Economics, Professor of the Department of Enterprise Economics and Business Organization, Simon Kuznets, Kharkiv National University of Economics. Olga Valentinovna Maestrenko, welcome. Candidate of Science in Economics, Associate Professor of the Department of Management and Business, Simon Kuznets, Kharkiv National University of Economics. Glad to see you. Our official operants. Yes, Sergey Olegovich Arefiev, Doctor of Science and Economics, Professor of the Department of Management Technology, National Aviation University.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. And Richard Griffiths, PhD in Philosophy, Professor, Executive Director of the Institute for Cross-Cultural Management at the Florida Institute of Technology, Melbourne, Florida, United States of America. Hello. Based on the attendance registration card of members of the Academic Council, all members of the Council are present at the meeting. We can see all our members. Great. Okay, so on the agenda, the defense of Daniela's Цихетнер-Хіртенлінер thesis for obtaining the scientific degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of knowledge 07 Management and Administration in specialty 073 Management held in a mixed format. The theme of the thesis is formation of leadership style in the process of generational transition in enterprise management. So this work was done at the Department of Management and Business in Simon Kuznets Kharkiv National University of Economics. Research supervisor Tatiana Ivanovna Lipeyka, Doctor of Science in Economics, Professor, Head of the Department of Management and Business, Simon Kuznets Kharkiv National University of Economics. He is here. Welcome. The proceed of the announcement of objective data based on the documents submitted by the applicant. The applicant has submitted the following documents to the Specialized Academic Council. The first one, applicant form addressed to the chairman of the Specialized Academic Council regarding the conduct of the defense. A copy of the first page of the passport of a citizen of the Republic of Austria with a notarized translation. A copy of a master's degree in the specialty business administration issued by Jonas Kepler University, Linz, the Republic of Austria, with a certificate of recognition of a foreign educational document in Ukraine. Extract from the order of admission to postgraduate students. Academic certificate of completion of the relevant educational and scientific program. Next one, conclusion of the scientific supervisor. The extract from the protocol of the extended meeting of the department at which a public presentation of the research result of the recipient was held. And conclusion on the scientific novelty, theoretical and practical significance of the thesis result into corporates. Consent of the official opponents, reviewers, and the chairman to participate in the work of the one-time specialized scientific council. Then reviewers' feedback, opponent feedbacks, you can see them on the side of the defense and of our procedure. Thesis text in electronic and printed form. Another printed copy is kept in the university library. And so, who has any question about the reported materials? No one. Okay, thank you. So let's start. The floor for presenting the main points of the thesis is given to Daniela Цихетнер-Хіртенлінер. Welcome. We don't hear you, unfortunately. Switch off the microphone, is okay?
Dear members of the Specialized Academic Council and those present, do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear very well, thank you. Everything is okay.
Just a minute. Yes.
Continue.
Do you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear.
Okay. Today I want to present you result of my research on topic formation of leadership style in the process of generational transition at an enterprise management. The modern operating conditions of enterprises are characterized by uncertainty, turbulence, and the presence of crisis phenomena, which in Ukraine are particularly complicated by military operations. This determines the complexity, inconsistency, and tension of communications in the enterprise management system. All this requires changes in the leadership models inherent in enterprise managers to ensure the harmonization of people's interests and relationships in the process of production. These processes are very complex and
We don't hear you. Daniela, sorry. Tatiana.
Don't switch off my sound because the sound are coming from my computer.
I don't. No, I don't.
So the Tanya is doing this.
Okay.
Yes.
Should I start again?
No.
Yes,
no.
Of course you should continue. You should continue.
Continue. Just continue.
All this requires changes in the leadership models inherent in enterprise managers to ensure the harmonization of people's interests and relationships in the process of production. The processes are very complex and contradictory, especially taking into account the change of generations of enterprise managers. The modern concept of leadership means, first of all, the creation of a new world in which people want to work and not just have to work. In such a context, the transition of generations of leaders in modern enterprises acquires weight and significance as a central problem of ensuring the stability of management in conditions of uncertainty. In this regard, the task of developing approaches to the formation of leadership style in the process of transition of generations of managers, filling with new content of tools and essential characteristics of transition stages become relevant and important. The conducted analysis proved that in the scientific scientific literature a fairly wide range of problems related to leadership, both in general and in terms of various aspects, generational, cultural. In particular is investigated. The main logic and results of dissertations research are presented in Project 1. Let's present it main results. Result 1. Conceptual provisions for the formation of a leadership style in the conditions of the transition of generations of managers based on value orientation and cultural characteristics in the stage of the enterprise life cycle. See projects 2, 3, 4, and 5. Conceptual provisions regarding the formation of a leadership style in enterprise management in the process of generational transition have been formulated and include the following theoretical provisions. Leadership style is of decisive importance for ensuring enterprise management. Managers demonstrate a leadership style that corresponds to their individual characteristics and values. Different generations have different values and therefore choose different leadership styles. In the process of changing generations, a transitive style of leadership may appear. There are additional factors influencing the leadership style: national culture and the stage of the organization's life cycle. It is necessary to define a special procedure for the formation of an appropriate leadership style, which allows you to switch to a new style directly or through a transition period to help the enterprise achieve its main goals. The differences between the leadership styles inherent in different national cultures were considered using Gerhard Hofstede's six-factor model, a comparison of the main characteristics of Austrian and Ukrainian cultures was made. The main approaches to the classification of the stages of the organization's life cycle are analyzed and, taking into account the characteristics of transitive and transformational leadership styles inherent in the national cultures of Ukraine and Austria. A matrix of correspondence of each of these styles at different phases of the organization's development. Creation, early, growth, rapid growth, maturity, and decline is proposed. Result 2. Definition of leadership and leadership style was done. Projects 6 and 7. The interpretation of the definitions leadership and the style of leadership was made by the using content and morphological analysis. A refined interpretation of the concept is proposed, the novelty of which is the consideration of both the processes of generational change in enterprise management, and therefore based on generational values, as well as cross-cultural aspects inherent in the global nature of organizational processes. The classification of leadership styles is distinguished and summarized. A description and comparative analysis of the corresponding styles is provided. Result 3. A list of groups and of competencies inherent in different leadership styles, professional, methodological, soft skills, which made it possible to form a matrix of competencies of leaders, differentiated in terms of different generations and national culture features. Projects 8, 9, and 10. The theoretical provisions of modern processes of change in leadership theory have been improved, the novelty of which is the consideration of groups of competencies necessary for different styles of leadership, professional, methodological, soft skills, which made it possible to form a matrix of leaders' competencies, differentiated according to different generations and characteristics, national culture. Result 4. Summarizing the main requirements for the work environment to ensure effective intergenerational communication when implementing a transitive leadership style, and provide a comparison of generational characteristics and factors related to their cooperation in the workplace. Broadsheets 11 and 12. An anonymous survey of 131 Ukrainian and 157 Austrian representatives of Generation Z regarding their future leaders was conducted, in which they answered 17 questions that allowed for the formation and confirmation of 7 hypotheses to compare the expectations of Ukrainian and Austrian representatives of Generation Z regarding their future leaders. Their answers were evaluated based on a 5-step Likert scale. Broadsheets 13 and 14. The first hypothesis that transformational and transactional leadership styles are more important for representatives of Generation Z in Ukraine than in Austria was confirmed. The second hypothesis revealed that Ukrainian respondents rate production-oriented leadership and change-oriented leadership higher than Austrian respondents, while Austrian respondents pay more attention to employee-oriented leadership styles. The following 3 hypotheses related to motivation made it possible to prove that higher motivation to work leads to a higher assessment of transformational, employee-oriented, change-oriented leadership style, regardless of country, higher assessment of transactional non-monetary leadership styles, with a stronger effect in Ukraine than in Austria, but has no effect on the evaluation of the leadership style based on transactional sanctions in both countries studied. Regarding the hypothesis about the existence of relationship between leadership style and employee productivity, it was found that Ukrainian respondents with a higher level of productivity give more preference to a transformational, change-oriented than to an employee-oriented transactional leadership style. But for Austrian respondents, work results do not affect the desired leadership style. Broadsheets 15 and 16. The need to take into account the influence of the following groups of factors on the formation of leadership style is proven: communication of leaders and employees, motivation, interaction and communication, balance of work and personal life, gender characteristics. Result 5. The procedure of forming a leadership style in the conditions of a change of generations, which is based on determining the relationship between the leadership style, national cultural differences, values, and psychological characteristics of representatives of different generations, as well as establishing correspondences between the stage of the life cycle of the enterprise and the most appropriate leadership style for it. Projects 17, 18, and 19. In the dissertation, the procedure for forming a leadership style in the process of generational transition was developed, the novelty of which consists in determining the relationship between the leadership style, national cultural differences, values, and psychological characteristics of representatives of different generations, as well as establishing correspondences between the stage of the enterprise's life cycle and the most appropriate one for its leadership style. The recommendations were tested on the example of 3 generations, X, Y, Z, who perform leadership functions in modern enterprises. A comparative retrospective analysis of the change in leadership styles throughout the history of the University of Upper Austria and the University of Kharkiv was conducted, which made it possible to develop methodological support and toolkit of leadership style formation. Reasonable methodological support for the formation of a leadership style in the process of generational transition in the management of an enterprise includes the procedure for the formation of a leadership style and tools for ensuring formation at each stage of the procedure. The novelty is the proposed differentiation in accordance with the stage of the life cycle of the enterprise and the characteristics of the national culture of the country of origin of the enterprise, or its leaders through the justification of the construction of the correspondence matrix. The results of the dissertation were obtained using the fundamental provisions of modern management theory, the theory of generations, and new concepts of leadership in enterprise management. The main general scientific and special methods were used. Methods of theoretical generalization, analysis, synthesis, structural analysis, statistical analysis, expert survey, and questionnaire method, theoretical analysis, tools of descriptive and mathematical statistics, cluster analysis, graphic method. The practical significance of the obtained results is that the use of the theoretical and methodological provisions of the dissertation has been brought to the level of specific methods and recommendations for the formation of a leadership style in the conditions of a change of generations in enterprise management at the University of Kharkiv and the University of Upper Austria in Austria. Projects 18 and 19. The main provisions and results of the dissertation work were presented by the author at international scientific and practical conferences and reflected in 12 predicted scientific publications of the recipient. Project 1. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much for your presentation. It's very interesting. So let's start our discussion. Welcome. My proposition is to ask questions according to the order that I have named you in the beginning. So I will ask you in order for questions. So let's start from the first member. Irina Alexeyevna Shapovalovna, welcome. Your question to our applicant. Welcome.
Inga Alexeyevna.
Inga, I'm sorry. Inga, I'm very sorry. Inga.
My question, give us more details about leaders' generational future analysis. Broadsheet 17.
Let's come back to this broadsheet. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for your question. Generational analysis is a way of studying and understanding the characteristics, values, and behaviors of different generations within a society. Leaders, like any other individuals, are shaped by the generational context in which they grew up. Analysis of generational features that can impact leaders presented at slide 9 and 10 are in the dissertation. It's essential to note that these generational characteristics are generalizations and that individuals vary widely within each generation. Moreover, generational experiences can overlap, as not everyone born in a specific time frame will share all the same characteristics. Effective leaders recognize the diversity of their team members' generational backgrounds and adapt their leadership styles and strategies to foster collaboration, motivation, and productivity among individuals from different generations. Leadership effectiveness ultimately depends on a leader's ability to understand and connect with their team members, regardless of their generational cohort.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Satisfied?
Thank you for your answer.
Okay, thank you. So the next one, welcome. Olga Valentinovna Maestrenko, your question, please. Olga.
Thank you so much. I have a question. Hello?
Yes, we can see you and we can hear you. Yes. It's okay, Olga.
Thank you. Please open broadsheet 5. Could you give us short explanation about life cycle study on cases of Simon Kuznets University and Upper Austria, US? For example, explain features of last stages. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Let us start with Simon Kuznets-Hartliff National University of Economics. For Simon Kuznets-Hartliff National University of Economics, last stage starts from 2015 till present and can be characterized as an end of maturity. Current stage was characterized by the extreme turbulence of external environment. Russian invasion in 2014, COVID-2019 pandemic, and war in 2022. These challenges lead to digitalization and virtualization of educational process. New challenges demand from leaders new approaches, but performance-oriented B2B leaders couldn't support as they feel organization, tending more to the rigid bureaucracy. So now Simon Kuznets University reached a bifurcation dot, which means that the trajectory of development can follow upward vector. rapid growth or downward decline as variance. For Upper Austria University of Applied Sciences, we stated that current stage is maturity. In recent years, 2018 and 2023, national and international competition for students has become even fiercer, which can be explained by a growing supply as well as by demographic factors. In leadership, a degree of uncertainty is apparent. By attempting to motivate the teams via transformational elements and, on the other hand, to achieve the necessary successes, sufficiently well-qualified students via strict specifications from the commercial leadership. This is implemented with clear targets and consistent monitoring of target achievement with corresponding corrective measures, transactional elements. These descriptions on the stages give us possibility to evaluate competencies which need leaders to manage enterprises toward the strategic goals and developed recommendation for the leadership style formation in the process of generation transition, Project 19.
Okay. Olga, are you satisfied with the answer? It's okay.
Thank you.
So, next one, welcome, Sergey Olegovich Arefiev. Welcome, your question.
Can you open, please, the broadsheet number 10? Yes, so please explain how can be used the enterprise's leadership style formation differentiations of the competences by the generation present of this broadsheet.
Thank you for your question. Comparative analysis of main characteristics of the current generation who occupied working places, it was done in a Charter 2.3, give us possibility to develop the summary of the generational characteristics and factors related to the cooperation of generation representatives at the working place. And comparison of Austria and Ukraine culture comparison based on Hofstede model give possibility to plot metric of differentiation generation, leadership style by the national cultural values and features. Later, this metric was used at the choice of leadership style for Upper Austria University of Applied Sciences and Simon Kuznets-Harkiv National University of Economics, and recommendation for the leadership style formation in the process of generation transition in the cases of Simon Kuznets-Harkiv National University of Economics and Upper Austria University of Applied Sciences.
Thank you for your answer, but I have one more question. And now I want to ask about the broadsheet number 4. So here, could you please explain your point of the view and influence of the cultural issues on the leadership style?
Thank you for your question. In our research, we used Gerd Hofstede 6-dimension model for evaluation of the national culture peculiarities. Together with the country comparison presented at the Project 4, we made deep countries culture analysis for Austria and Ukraine, subchapter 1.3 of dissertation. On the next step, we find matches between groups of leader competencies and dimensions of the national culture, Project 10. Next step, international culture, influence on leadership style research, presented at the subchapter 3.2 and based on the result of the questionnaire, was developed as Google Form. It consists from 5 questions about generations transition in the leadership and the current stage of university development and was tested at Simon Kuznets Hartwig University and Upper Austrian University. That gives us possibility to develop recommendation for the leadership style formation in the process of generation transition for both universities, presented on broadsheet 18, table 4.
Mhm. So thank you for your answers, and I have no more questions.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you too. Oh, and also a question. Welcome, Mr. Griffiths, your question to our applicant. Thank you. Hello? Fortunately, switch on your microphone. Thank you. We can see you.
Tatiana, is it my turn for the question? The audio broke up a little bit.
Yes, yes, of course. No, it's your time to ask question, please.
Thank you. Thank you. So Daniela, you've demonstrated that there are culture general dimensions that are related to leadership style through your analysis of Hofstede. My question would be, are there going to be culture-specific dimensions for each country that may be related to, say, politics or history or other events?
Yes, you are right. Culture-specific elements such as historical narratives and political influences may introduce variances in leadership styles that deviate from the overreaching dimensions applicable across cultures. While there are some universal aspects to leadership, such as communication skills, emotional intelligence, and adaptability, leadership styles can indeed be influenced by culture-specific elements. These elements may include historical context, political influences, societal values, and even the economic environment of a particular culture. I can give some examples of the way how the culture-specific elements impact leadership styles. There are 2 points. First point, political and historical context, and the second point, work-life balance. Now to the first point, political and historical context. Political and historical events can shape leadership styles. For example, in a culture that has experienced political instability, leaders may adopt a more autocratic style to provide stability and direction. For the second, work-life balance. Cultural attitudes toward work and leisure can influence leadership styles. In cultures that prioritize work-life balance, leaders may be more inclined to adopt flexible and supportive leadership styles. There are also communication styles. Point 3. The way people communicate can vary significantly across cultures. Some cultures may have a more direct and explicit communication style, while others may use an indirect and implicit communication. Leaders need to be aware of these differences and adjust their communication style to be effective in a particular cultural context. And
Thank you.
And
please go ahead.
yes.
Okay.
It's
Yes,
okay,
yes,
or
but please.
should I say more about it?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut her off.
It's okay. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, the speed of your internet or our it's not so high. That's why we can see you a few seconds later. So, have you any more questions? Welcome to our applicant.
No, I'm done. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So,
Thank you.
my question, please open up your broadsheet number 17. Very interesting procedure. And tell me, please, how it form transitional leadership style. Can you explain me, please?
Thank you for your question. At the one of the conceptual statement presented at subchapter 1.3, we told about the features of this leadership style. Our findings based on statement that there are some differences and similarities between the 4 generations currently in the labor market that are important for cooperation on the working place. In order to determine what demands are made on the work environment and what attitudes toward the employer are present, the following topics are considered: attitude towards work, organizational structure, motivational factors, technology, cooperation, communication and technology, attitude to work. This research helps us to form the summary of the generational characteristics and factors related to the cooperation of generation representatives at the workplace presented at Project 11. This characteristic used to evaluation of transitional leadership features. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, I see. Thank you. Again, let's come back to this broadsheet 17. Explain me, please, how can you give your own vision of this transformational leadership style, please?
Thank you for your question. We define transition leadership style as a set of leadership styles combinations relevant to the cultural environment, values and features of the employees and leaders generation, together with mission, vision and objectives current enterprise's life cycle stage. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your answer. So, we have finished with the discussion. So please, let's continue our procedure of defense. Dear members of Special Council, Danniele Cihekner-Hіртенlінер thesis received 3 feedback from institutions and organizations that are handed to you at the beginning of the board meeting for the review and analysis. In this regard, the floor is given to the applicant, Danniele Cihekner-Hіртенlінер.
Dear Chairman, dear members of the Specialized One-Time Scientific Council, dear participants, we are grateful to all organizations for interest in our research and comments they provided. Some of the comments are explained by the limitation of the text of the dissertation or different focus of the research we presented. We are accepted these comments and will take them into account in further scientific work. But on some remarks, I would like to answer and provide more in-depth explanations. Comment of Professor Szymanowska-Dianic about an additional explanation requires the use of classical cultural dimensions of the 6D model of Hofstede for the study of national cultural differences. The use of Hofstede's model is due to the fact that, unlike other studies, it has a website that makes it possible to update the comparison of national cultures of different countries in dynamics to involve new countries in the comparison. The algorithm for calculating indicators is quite transparent and clear. The main conclusions using this model do not contradict those obtained using the model of block study. Comment of Professor Pavlenko about a comparative analysis of the main characteristics of the current generations of those working in Austria, but not for Ukraine as well. Partly results of such an analysis was given on page 76 of the dissertation. But in our conclusions regarding the main characteristics of the Ukrainian generations, we relied on the results of research published by Ukrainian scientists, Professor Lebedko, Professor Bluzniak, as Associate Professor Yermolenko, and others, references to which are given in the text of the dissertation. Therefore, we used their statements and conclusions for further comparison and obtaining universal results, without considering it necessary to cite the results of our own analysis regarding Ukraine. Comment of Professor Budnichenko about signals of the internal or external environment push the enterprises for the beginning of transformations. Partly agreeing with this remark, we would like to explain the following. Table 3.2 of the dissertation shows the recommendation for the leadership style formation in the process of generation transition. Case of Simon-Kuznets University and Upper Austria University. We took the change of generations in the management of the enterprise as a starting point, which forces us to choose a new leadership style. Since each subsequent generation has distinctive characteristics and competencies in managing the enterprise, it is necessary to find out how much they enable to organize the functioning of the enterprise in the current phase of its life cycle, and then decide whether it is possible to go directly to the new necessary leadership style or whether it is necessary to implement a transitive style. Thus, we abstracted from factors of the external environment and took into account only internal factors, which are the impactors for the beginning of transformations. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your answer. So let's continue. Dear members of the Specialized Academic Council, you have studied the applicant thesis in detail, prepared it, and provide feedback in time. So we proceeded to announce your conclusion regarding Цихетнер-Хіртенлінер Даніеле's research. Welcome. Let's start from our opponent. The floor is given to the opponent, Doctor of Science and Economics, Professor Sergey Olegovich Arefiev. The opponent's feedback is in the applicant file in the Specialized Academic Council and is posted on the university official website. Welcome.
So, dear ladies and gentlemen, and the applicant and the who present here, I provide the review on time, and you can read the full version of the official opponent's website of our one-time specialized council. So that's why I'd like to highlight my main aspects on my review. So dynamic conditions of functioning of modern enterprises colored by active military operations, which causes their uncertainty and unpredictable significantly complicates the current tasks of managers. The need to build effective communications in the management system with a focus of ensuring harmonious relationship between team members in increasingly shifting the focus on the models of leadership models, and which are increasingly influenced by the change of generations of managers of enterprises. It's about creating a world where employees have a sincere desire to work and not just they have to do. The emergence of the new so-called Generation Z is creating new challenges and expectations for business that rely on highly skilled, intrinsically motivated employees, in particular, managers and leaders capable of development and implementing leadership strategies and concepts, quickly adapting to new and environmental conditions. Despite the generally accepted conclusion that the transformations of leadership skills and styles, basic leadership contracts, and conditioned by the charge of generations. The dependence of labor mobility on the cultural characteristics and differences, it cannot be said that the issue of general changes are leaders of in the context of the impact on efficiency and stability of modern enterprises in conditions of uncertainty has been comprehensively studied. This makes scientific research is in this area relevant. So, in view of the above, the dissertation research of Danیela Цихетнер-Хіртенлінер, which reflect a wide range of modern trends and approaches to substanding the methodological support of the information of leadership style in enterprise management in a process of generational changes of management is timely and relevant. Is also confirmed by the fact of the basis of the author's research as well-known and modern scientific approaches of the foreign and domestic scholars whose ideas form the scientific base for the modern management concepts, cross-cultural management, and their particular aspects. It should also be noted that the scientific significance are relevance of the dissertation of Danیela Цихетнер-Хіртенлінер is also confirmed by its direct connection with the plan and topics of research for work of Poltava State Agrarian University of Scientific and Applying Topic, National Security Management in the context of the globalization challenges, macro, micro, regional, and sectoral levels. Also, it has the state registration number. The scientific provisions, conclusions, and recommendations set out in the dissertation are substantive and reliable. The validity of the scientific position set out of the dissertation is based on the author's processing and generalization of scientific approaches of the wide range of scientists, representatives of various scientific schools, whose works consider scientific and methodological approaches to the formation of leadership style in enterprise management, the theory of cross-cultural management, and the theory of generations. The power level of validity and reliability of the results obtained is also evidenced by other components of research information base, such as the previous legislative and regulatory acts, open analytics and statistics materials of publics, private and foreign institutions of organization, and results of own research, of course. The structure and content of dissertation, the logic of the issues, the author generalization and citations of primary sources indicate that the dissertator is sufficiently familiar with the previous of the both classical theories and model developments related to the topic of the dissertation, and her ability to use them professionality to argue in solving research problems. The purpose of the study has been achieved, the task has been completed in full. The proposed conclusions and recommendations logically follow from the provisions of the dissertations. The dissertation has a successful structural construction, and its content fully reveals the stated research topic. The reliability and objectivity of the results and the proposals is confirmed by the approval of the research results at international scientific and practical conferences. Thus, the dissertation is a complete scientific research work with a logical integral composition, scientific stylistic content, and the author manner of presenting the material and the obtained results of the dissertation work. Formulated conclusions and recommendations are scientifically based. On the topic of dissertation, 5 scientific publications were published, including 3 articles in the scientific journal, included the list scientific professional journals of Ukraine as of the date of publication, 1 publication in periodical indexed in Web of Science core collection and Scopus databases, and 1 single chapter in the collective monograph. In addition, the results of Цихетнер-Хіртенлінер scientific research were tested at international scientific and practical conferences, as a result of which 6 abstracts of report and conference materials, and 2 articles were published in periodical scientific publications of other countries like North America and Poland. In the publication, the previous of scientific novelty, conclusions, the recommendations of their present, which confirm the public testing of the scientific results obtained by Захист in the course of the research and bringing them to the attention of the scientific community. Acquaintance with the publications gives round to say that the results of research offers innovations, generations, and improvement of conceptual and methodological provisions, organizational and methodological decisions are recommended, and recommendations reflected in the points of novelty and conclusions to the research are scientifically fully set out of printed works, which corresponds with Class A of the procedure of awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy and revoking the decision of the one-time specialized academic council of a higher education institution. Scientific institution on awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy approved by resolution number 44 of the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine, dated January 12, 2022, and are counted as the 4.5 scientific publication. In general, while positivity is set in the disease of Захист-Даніели, I consider is appropriate to make a following comments. Section 1.3 contains figure 1.4, it's on page 86, which compares the cultural dimensions of Austria and Ukraine according to the 6-dimensional Hofstede model. However, the data on the values of these cultural dimensions of Ukraine, which are given us as November 2023 on the official Hofstede website, differed from the data analysis into this. It would be useful to provide a more detailed explanation of why the imperial studies conducted the chapter 2 analyze only transactional and transformational leadership styles. Science chapter 1 analyzes a much larger numbers of leadership styles in a sufficiently detailed, in a in-depth manner. It would be advisable and to provide more detailed explanation of how the author determined the current phase of the enterprise life cycle for the further formation for the leadership style on the page 148, 149, whether the specific criteria of determining of the current phase of the life cycle of generally accepted indicators of the in defining the stages of the life cycle. The proposed procedure of forming the leadership style in the process of generation change in the pages 141, 152 is responsible to present in detail. However, it will be advisable to provide an explanation of how the leadership system can be distinguished or not for all leaders in one organization, taking into account the generational and cultural specific of subordinates. It would be advisable for an author to provide more detailed explanation of criteria proposed to determine the need to change in the leadership style. At the same time, these discussion points are not fundamental nature and don't diminish the overall positive assessment of the study is a theoretical and practical significance. The dissertation of Daniela Cihetnер-Hіртенlінер was completed in the compliance with the principles of academic integrity. The analysis of the text of the dissertation showed that the author has not violated in requirements of academic integrity. The work contains references to sources of information when using ideas, developments, statements, and data. Requirements of copyright law are met. Complete and reliable information about the results of scientific activity and the research methods used are provided. In particular, academic plagiarism, self-plagiarism, fabrication, falsification, and other violations were not found in the dissertations, which could call into question the independent nature of completed author's dissertation. Cihetnер-Hіртенlінер Daniela's dissertation, Formation of Leadership Style in Process of Generational Transition in Enterprise Management, is a completed qualification scientific work of theoretical and practical value, which present a number of developments in theoretical and methodical support of the information of leadership style in the process of the generational change in enterprise management. The conducted research characters Daniela Cihetner-Hіртенlінер as a qualified and mature researcher capable of conducting the theoretical and practical research of the field of management at a high level. The dissertation is proficient is the methodology of scientific research and has a broad scientific outlook. The submitted dissertation, Formation of Leadership Style in a Process of Generational Transition in Enterprise Management by Daniela Cihetner-Hіртенlінер corresponds to the specialty 073 management. In terms of content, it meets in the requirements of dissertation for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, namely requirements of clauses 6, 7, 8, and 9 of the procedure of awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy and canceling the decision of the one-time specialized academical council of the Institution of Higher Education, scientific institution of awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, approved by resolution number 44 of the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine, dated by 12th of January 2022. The results obtained the author are scientifically substantiated, hence has scientific novelty and practical value. They will play a positive role in solving the problems of development, the theory and practice of management, and the problems conditioned in a global intellectual environment. And its author, Cihetner Cihetner-Hіртенлінер Daniela deserve to be awarded the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of knowledge 07 Management and Administration on the specialty 073 Management. So.
Okay, thank you very much. Welcome, Daniela. Would you like to answer the question of opponent, please?
Dear Chairman, dear members of the Specialized One-Time Scientific Council, dear participants, we are grateful to all organizations for interest in our research and comments they provided. We are grateful to Professor Arefiev for his interest in our research and comments. Comments 1 and 2 has the same context as comments Associate Professor Maestrenko and will take them into account in further scientific work. But on some of remarks, I want to give explanation. Comment 3 about more detailed explanation for how the author determines the current phase of the enterprise's life cycle for the further formation of the leadership style. When determining the current phase of the enterprise's life cycle, we used the Lex Sisne model, which, from our point of view, most adequately reflects the development of a modern organization. It consists of the following phases: emergence, early growth, rapid growth, maturity, decline. The application of this model is quite deeply reflected in the scientific literature. It contains generally accepted indicators for identifying life cycle stages. Comment 4. About the explanation of how the leadership style can be differentiated, or, on the contrary, not differentiated, taking into account the generational and cultural specificity of subordinates. The main recommendations for choosing a leadership style in terms of generational differentiation are shown on broadsheet 19. Here we considered possible options for combining the stage of the enterprise life cycle and changing the leaders of generation BB to X, X to Y, and Y to Z, taking into account the level of management, CEO or middle, is the leader. The issue of differentiation of leadership styles for representatives of different national cultures was considered on the example of Ukrainian and Austrian enterprises. But we agree that the issue of differentiation of leadership styles taking into account generational culture is quite interesting and can become the subject of our further research. Once again, I would like to thank my dear official opponent, Doctor of Sciences in Economics, Professor Arefiev, for his attention, for the opportunity to communicate, and for recommendations on directions for further research. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm satisfied if you need for the answers of Daniela.
Thank you very much.
Let's continue. The floor is given to the opponent, PhD in philosophy, Professor Richard Griffiths. The opponent's feedback is in the applicant file in the Specialized Academic Council and is posted on the university's official website. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I provided my detailed feedback to you, but I'll give you what is a summary of that that feedback. So in general, I think your study was theoretically quite sound, methodologically quite sound, and was well written, so that it's quite easy to comprehend. In terms of my suggestions for future research, I think they're aligned with the previous comments. The binary categorization of leadership style may be a little too coarse, and we may in the future start thinking about what are more refined ways to measure leadership style, so that you're getting a broader view of the style rather than falling into what are two blunt categories. But I think your inclusion of culture in the study of leadership is very timely and is much needed. So congratulations for putting together what is a fine study. I very much approve of the results.
Okay. So welcome, Daniela. The floor is given to you to answer the remarks of your official opponent.
Dear Chairman, dear members of the Specialized One-Time Scientific Council, dear participants, I would like to thank the esteemed official opponent, PhD Professor Richard Griffiths, for his attention paid to my work, the opportunity to communicate his recommendations and comments, with which I generally agree and accepted it with my gratitude. I will definitely take them into account in my further research and using for further research directions. Thank you.
Okay. So let's continue. The floor is given to the reviewer, Inga Alexeyevna Shapovalova, Doctor of Science and Economics, Professor. The reviewer's feedback is in the recipient file in the Specialized Academic Council, and it was posted on the website in appropriate time. Welcome, Inga.
Dear colleagues and applicant, I provided a timely review. You can read its full version on the website of our on-time specialist board. Therefore, I am going to mention only the key points of my review. Numerous studies prove that representatives of different generations demonstrate significant difference in values, cultural norms, expectations, worldview, and behavior caused by combination of a specific historical, social, technological, and cultural context characteristic of a particular generation. In turn, these differences have a significant impact on motivation, work behavior, career, expectation, and overall importance of working life for different generations, and therefore require a differentiated approach to management. Understanding how leadership style align with the preference and motivation of different generations can help create a positive work environment and maximize employee productivity. On the other hand, business leaders often come from different generations, which affects their leadership styles. Their incompatibility with the expectation and preference of their subordinates can cause serious difficulties that will negatively affect the engagement, motivation, loyalty, and productivity of employee. Moreover, sooner or later, every organization faces the challenge of leadership succession planning, as senior leaders of previous generations retire or change positions. Understanding how leadership styles evolve during generational change is critical to ensuring a smooth organization succession process. Special attention should be paid to this issue during the period of generational change. When representative of a generation actively enter the labor market for the first time, which becomes a serious challenge for the managers, and therefore requires in-depth study and development of adequate response tools. This is exactly what is happening today when members of Generation Z get their first job. Цихетнер-Хіртенлінер Даніела dissertation research therefore cover a topic that is certainly relevant. The scientific positions, conclusions, and recommendations contained in the dissertation work of Danیela Цихетнер-Хіртенлінер are based on deep and comprehensive analysis of neuroscientific such of information including monograph, scientific articles, reference books, result of global panel studies, official statistics, dataset of the study of the problems of leadership style formation, employee engagement and motivation, cross-cultural management, organizational behavior, generational theory, organizational life cycle, competence-based approach to management, as well as the peculiarities of management and leadership styles inherent in Ukrainian and Austrian companies. The citation and synthesis of such sources demonstrate the high level of awareness of the dissertation, both in terms of classical theories and the current state of these issues, providing a systematic basis for the research. The wide use of scientific research method, such as theoretical generalization, morphological analysis, comparison, synthesis, structural and logical analysis, expert survey, correlation analysis, analysis of variance, content analysis, ranking, descriptive statistic, historical method, graphical method, ensure the reliability of the scientific position, conclusions and recommendation of the thesis. The competent use of the methods made it possible to achieve the goal set in the work and fully fulfill the planned tests that meet the purpose of the study, formulated logically and fully reveal and content the work. All this demonstrates the high level of validity and reliability of the scientific position, conclusions, and recommendation obtained in the dissertation research, which logical follow from the results of the precedent study and in aggregate develop modern theories of leadership style formation in the context of generational characteristic of leaders and subordinates. The theoretical value of the applicants' developments lies in the fact that they develop the modern theory of leadership by taking into account the generational and cultural characteristic of managers and employees, as well as the stage of the life cycle of enterprises. The following scientific results are theoretically significant. The concept of leadership and leadership style were clarified, The classification of leadership style was generalized. The composition of competence required by modern leaders was clarified. A matrix of competence of leaders differentiated in the context of different generations and peculiarities of national culture was formed. Conceptual provisions for the formation of leadership style in the context of changing generation of managers were developed. The key characteristic of representative of 4 generations of employees were identified. A set of key components of the working environment necessary for the formation of a transitive leadership style was formed. The theoretical value of certain result is confirmed by the implementation in the educational process of the Simon Kuznets-Kharkiv National University of Economics for bachelors on the Faculty of Management and Marketing, Specialty 073 Management, Educational Component Fundamentals of Leadership at Organization Dynamics, and Master in the same specialty, Educational Component Management of Organization in the process of lecture and practical classes in the academic year 2022-2023, certificate number 23/86/02/54, date September 18, 2023. Despite the significant scientific achievement presented in the paper, as well as its high practical value, is not without some controversial points. 1. In substantiating the first point of the formation of leadership style in the process of generation change, page 62-63, it would be advisable to provide a more comprehensive scientific discussion rather than relying on single scientific thought. 2. The second provision of leadership style formation in the process of generational change connects leadership style with individual characteristics and values of managers, which is certainly an important statement, but in explain it, the author focuses on the individual characteristic of manager and almost does not mention values. Page 63-64. 3. Considering the relationship between the leadership style and the stage of enterprise development, page 97, table 1.15, the author for same reason focuses on only 2 styles, transformational and transactional, while yearly in the work a much larger number of them were considered, page 27-59. 4. The after present methodological recommendation on the formation of leadership style in the process of generational change in enterprise management as part of scientific and practical approach to choosing and leadership style, page 172 to 192. In particular, numerous methods are recommended that serve to implement the relevant principles. Table 3.4, page 173 to 181. However, the study failed to find a justification for why these methods were recommended for use, as well as how to choose a specific method in the presence of several recommended ones. Unfortunately, there are some stylistic inconsistencies with the scientific style of presentation and some grammatical errors. However, the above discussion points do not significantly reduce the overall positive assessment of the presented study. Цихетнер-Хіртенлінер Даніела dissertation is performed at a sufficiently high scientific level, is a completed qualification scientific work, contains theoretical provisions, methodological approaches, and practical recommendation, with together allow for the formation of a leadership style in the process of generational change based on the generational and cultural characteristics of leaders and their subordinates, as well as the stage of the enterprise life cycle. The scientific articles and other publications with by Danیela Цихетнер-Хіртенлінер reflect the provisions of the scientific novelty obtained by her. From her co-authored scientific paper, only those ideas and provisions that are the author's personal achievement are used in the dissertation. The main result of the study were presented and approved at scientific and practical conference of various levels and implemented in the practice of 2 operating universities. The above mentioned discussion points and remarks are not of a fundamental nature and do not affect of overall height mark of the thesis. Даніела Цихетнер-Хіртенлінер dissertation corresponds to the specialty 073 management in terms of content, and the quality of theoretical and methodological development corresponds to the level of dissertation for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. The topic of the dissertation is relevant and adequately covered. The purpose of the work has been achieved, and its results content scientific novelty, have theoretical and practical value. Цихетнер-Хіртенлінер Даніела research work, formation of leadership style in the process of generational transitional in enterprise management in its content meets the requirements for dissertation for obtain the scientific degree of Doctor of Philosophy, namely of requirement of classes 6, 7, 8, and 9 of the procedure for awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy at canceling the decision of the one-time specialized academic council of the higher institution of education, scientific institution on awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy approved by the resolution of the Cabinet of Ministers Ukraine number 44 date 12 January 2022, and its author Захист Даніела deserves to be awarded the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of knowledge 07 Management and Administration in specialty 073 Management.
Okay, thank you very much. So welcome. The floor is given to Daniela to answer the remarks of your opponent, of your reviewer. Sorry, reviewer. Welcome.
So, thank you very much. Dear Chairman, dear members of the Specialized One-Time Scientific Council, dear participants, we are grateful to Professor Shapovalova for her interest in our research and comments. Some of it are explained by the limitation of the dissertation text size or a different focus of our research. We will take them into account in further scientific work. But I would like to provide more in-depth explanations on some remarks. Comment 1 about authors' focus on the individual characteristics of managers and almost does not mention values. In the work, we focused attention precisely okay.
In the work, we focused attention precisely
It's okay.
It sounds wrong? Yes. Yes, we can hear the twice your answer.
Should
Yes,
I
we can hear twice your answer. Should
I continue? Okay.
Yes, of course.
And almost does not mention
Should I
values.
continue? Okay. It's okay.
Oh. Okay. In the work, we focused attention precisely on the individual characteristics and competencies of managers, because we consider the issue of the interaction of generations in the work environment, Chapter 2, which affects the choice of leadership style. In addition, the conducted questionnaire and analysis of expectations from leaders for different generations in the cultural dimension made it possible to generalize recommendations regarding the style of leadership that is acceptable for Generation Z. There are some arguments for the relationship between Gen Zers and their leaders. Good team spirit or a pleasant working atmosphere indicates that Generation Zers feel well in flat hierarchy working conditions. This can be best provided by transformational servant or coaching leadership styles, where caring, coaching, supporting, motivating, and nurturing are the main elements. Comment 2. About reason of concentrating on two styles, transformational and transactional, while earlier in the work a much larger number of them was considered. On page 27 to 59, we reviewed the approaches to the classification of leadership styles according to various characteristics existing in the scientific literature. On page 102, figure 2.1, the following list of leadership styles was chosen and presented: transformational, transactional, laissez-faire, authoritarian. However, we conducted in Chapter 2 survey revealed that the majority of respondents define such leadership styles as transformational and transactional. Therefore, in the future, we used exactly this part of the classification and based our recommendation on these leadership styles. And once again, I would like to thank the estimate reviewer, Doctor of Sciences in Economics, Professor Shapovalova, for her attention, for the opportunity to communicate, and for recommendations on directions for further research. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much for your answer. So, and welcome. The floor is given to The reviewer Olga Valentinovna Maestrenko, candidate of Science in Economics. Reviewer Olga Valentinovna Maestrenko, candidate of Science in Economics. The reviewer's feedback is in the recipient's file in the...
Dear colleagues,
feedback is in the recipient's file in this... and is posted on the university's official website. Welcome. And it's posted on the university's official website. Welcome.
Sorry. So, dear colleagues and applicant, I provide a timely review. You can read its full version of the website of our one-time specialized board. Therefore, I am going to mention only the key points of my review. Over the past few years, the business environment has been characterized by a high degree of uncertainty due to often unpredictable global events. Events such as the coronavirus pandemic, the ongoing military action in Ukraine, and the current situation in the Middle East have had a significant impact of the result of companies around the world. In particular, for modern enterprises which represent a rather complex socioeconomic system, the issues of influence of external factors on management require careful study and management. Among the key aspects of enterprise management in the modern paradigm, one of the most important is ensuring effective human resource management. Brian, industrial relations at the micro level in line with macroeconomic transformation requires decisive action, considerable effort, and intensive organizational measures. Optimization in social and labor relations and the development of a leadership style that meets strategy objectives and organization culture should become important elements of the system that ensures the competitiveness of enterprises and the country as a whole. As businesses operate and develop as complex organisms, their potential efficiency and competitiveness depend not only on strategy and clear organization structure, but also on appropriate management systems and complete leaders. The success of an organization is determined by its corporate culture and leadership style. The topic of leadership style is always relevant in the context of management organization behavior. A leadership style determines how a leader communicates with subordinators, makes decisions, and influences the internal atmosphere in an organization. Different situations may call for different leadership styles, and successful leaders can adapt their approach to suit this specific context. So, it can be concluded that is modern management science and practice. There is a need to clarify the theoretical and methodological provisions of leadership style formation in the process of changing generations of management, which may be an important task. Since each generation has new values, expectations, different attitudes to work, and different work behavior. This determines the relevance and topics of this research carried out by Цихетнер-Хіртенлінер. The practical value of the results obtained is that the use of theoretical and methodological provisions of the thesis has been brought to the level of specific methods and recommendation for the formation of leadership style in the context of generational change in enterprise management, namely the dimension of leadership style in enterprise management in accordance with the phase of the life cycle. Sorry.
No, everything is okay. It's yeah, everything is okay. Continue, please. No, everything is okay. It's
okay.
Yeah, everything is okay.
I can conclusion. Yeah. So the University of Applied Sciences Upper Austria has implemented the following research results that have scientific novelty. Proposals of the formation of a leadership style in the process of generation change at different levels of university management. Certificate that September 12, 2023. Cihetner-Hіртенлінер's thesis is written in English and contains annotations in Ukraine and English, a table of contents and introduction, 3 chapters, conclusion, a list of used sources, and appendices. The work is done in a scientific style. Its content is laid out in a clear logical sequence in accordance with the tasks. The son of the thesis meets the requirements of the order of the Ministry of Education and Culture of Ukraine on approval of requirements for designing dissertation, date January 12, 2017, number 40, as amended from May 31, 2019. Evaluating Cihetner-Hіртенлінер's thesis work as a whole positively, I consider it expanded to my attention to certain debatable clauses. First, in substantiation 1.1 presents the results of the comparative analysis of leadership style, where 8 leadership styles were studied. It would be advisable to justify why these 8 styles were chosen rather than the 3 or 16 that exist in the scientific literature. Second, in subsection 3.2, figure 3.2 and figure 3.3 provide a description of the life cycle stage for universities in Ukraine, Austria. However, I believe that it would be useful to provide a more detailed explanation of how the life cycle stage were determined for each university. Third, the task doesn't explain in detail why the choice of leadership style for different stages of the organization's life cycle is crucial for its success and growth, nor does it explain how the recommendations in subsection 3.2 can be applied in table 3.2. And last, in subsection 1.3, figure 1.4, provides a comparative analysis of the 6 cultural dimensions of Ukraine and Austria based on the national profiles proposed by Hofstede. However, the data of the values of these dimensions for Ukraine, which are given as of November 2023 of Hofstede's website, differ from the data analyzed in this thesis. The remarks are of data table that show and don't affect the positive conclusion regarding the thesis research. Cihetner-Hіртенлінер Daniel's thesis, formation of leadership style in the process of generation transition in enterprise management, was done at a sufficiently high level, is a completed qualifying scientific work, contains theoretical provisions, methodological approaches, and practical recommendations, which together allow the development of the mechanism of organization culture in multinational organization, taking into account the national content. The conduct research characterized Cihetner-Hіртенлінер and Daniela as qualified and mature researchers capable of conducting theoretical and practical research in the field of management at high level. The author possesses the methodology of scientific research, has a broad scientific outlook, and has the ability to set and solve complex scientific tasks of a rich research nature. Cihetner-Hіртенлінер Daniel's scientific articles and other publications reflect the state of her scientific innovation. Of the co-authored scientific works, only those ideas and provisions that are the personal achievement of the author are used in the thesis, which indicates the academic integrity of the dissertation. The main results of the research were reported and approved during international scientific and practical conferences. The present conclusions and recommendations are proven and sustained due to the correctly used methods of scientific knowledge and research, analysis, and generation of the latest scientific literature of the issues of organization culture and international organization. The content of Cihetner-Hіртенлінер Daniel's thesis corresponds to specialty 073 management. The quality of theoretical and methodological developments corresponds to the level of thesis for obtaining the scientific degree of a Doctor of Philosophy. The topic of the thesis was relevant and disclosed in the necessary manner. The goal of the work has been achieved, and its results contain scientific novelty and have theoretical and practical value, which is confirmed by the implementation of the results in the activeness of active multinational organization and institution of higher education in Austria and Ukraine, according to the reference present in the appendices of the thesis. Цихетнер-Хіртенлінер Даніel's research work formation of leadership style in the process of generational transition in enterprise management. In its content meets the requirements for dissertations for obtaining the scientific degree of Doctor of Philosophy, namely the requirements of clauses 6, 7, 8, and 9 of the producer for awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy and cancelling the decision of the one-time specialized academic Council of the Higher Institution of Education, Scientific Institution on awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy approved by the resolution of the SMU number 44 date 12/01/2022, and its author Цихетнер-Хіртенлінер Даніела deserves to be awarded the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of knowledge 07 Management and Administration in specialty 073 Management. Thank you.
Thank you. So the floor is given to the recipient to respond to the reviewer's remarks. So the floor is given to the recipient to respond to the reviewer's remarks.
Yes. Dear Chairman, dear members of the specialized one-time scientific council,
Dear Chairman, dear members of
disciplines.
the specialized one-time scientific council, dear disciplines.
We are grateful to Associate Professor Maestrenko for her interest in our research and comments. Some of the comments are explained by the limitation of the text of the dissertation or a slightly different focus of the research. We are grateful for such type of comments and will take them into account in further scientific work. But on two remarks, I would like to provide more in-depth explanations. Remark 1, about lack on detailed explanation of the leadership style choice for various stages in the organization's life cycle and the recommendations application. Choosing the right leadership style for different stages of an organization's life cycle is crucial for right strategy development and has a result of its realization. Organization's success and growth. The connection between leadership style and strategy was reflected at work of Lewis, O'Donnell, Rosenstiel, and other. Leadership style and organization culture. Handy, Drucker, Button, and other. Each stage presents unique challenges and opportunities, and effective leadership must adapt to these changing circumstances. In Table 3.2, we generalized retrospective research of the leadership style transition and current generation transition at Austrian and Ukrainian universities. Some guidelines for enterprise management, how to choose a dominant leadership style at each stage of the organization's life cycle was developed, based on universities' life cycle presented on figure 3.2 and 3.3 and presented in the table 3.3 of the dissertation. Remark 2 about a comparative analysis national profiles of Ukraine and Austria based on 6 cultural dimensions at Hofstede website, which was refreshed at November 2023. Since the main text of the work was formed before the changes appeared on Hofstede's website, we gratefully accept this remark. But it should be noted that these changes in indicators are not significant and do not cause changes in the main conclusions and recommendations. Once again, I would like to thank the estimate reviewer, candidate of Sciences and Economics, Associate Professor Mastrenko, for her attention, for the opportunity to communicate, and for recommendations regarding further research directions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Directions. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, colleagues. Let's move on to the discussion of the draft.
Thank you so much.
Colleagues,
Let's move on to the discussion of the draft. Okay, I have a proposal to include in the council decision all the comments.
Okay, I have a proposal to include in the council decision.
No objection. Thank you. Okay, dear members of the council, is there anyone you would like to add to your previous statement? You're welcome. No one? Okay, let's continue. If everything has already been started, then as a chairman of the council, I would also like to say some words. I also was acquainted with Daniele's Cihitner-Hiertentliner's thesis on the topic formation of leadership style in the process of generation transition and the enterprise management. And I would like to say that the work was performed at a sufficiently high scientific level. It is a completed qualification scientific work. The content of thesis corresponds to the specialty 073 management, and the quality of theoretical and methodological development corresponds to the level of thesis for obtaining the scientific degree of Doctor of Philosophy. The topic of the thesis is relevant and fully disclosed. The goal of the work has been achieved, and its result contains scientific novelty and are of theoretical and practical value. Therefore, I also believe that Daniele's Cihitner-Hiertentliner thesis, formation of leadership style in the process of generation transition in enterprise management, in its content meets the requirement for thesis for obtaining the scientific degree of Doctor of Philosophy, namely the requirements of clauses 6, 7, 8, and 9 of the procedure for awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy and annulment of the decision of the one-time specialized academic council of the institution of higher education, scientific institution on awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, approved by the resolution of the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine number 44 of the 12th of January 2022, and its author, Daniela Cihitner-Hiertentliner, deserves to be awarded the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of knowledge, management and administration in specialty 073, management. My congratulations. Stop, not before. I'm sorry. Who among those present wants to speak? No one. Okay, we need to vote. The most important part. So, if no one wants to add anything, so we move to the final part of our procedure today. So, Daniela Cihitner-Hiertentliner, you are given the final word. Welcome.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Academic Council, participants, allow me to express my deep gratitude to the Rector of Simon Kuznets-Kharkiv National University of Economics, Honored Worker of Science and Technology, Doctor of Sciences in Economics, Professor Volodymyr Ponomarenko, for the conditions created for studying, preparing, and defending my thesis. I would like to sincerely thank my supervisor, Doctor of Sciences in Economics, Professor Lebeko Tetiana, for valuable advice on scientific research, for her support, scientific experience, and understanding, which helped me so much at all stages of carrying out scientific work. I also want to thank all teachers of management and business department for continuous support during all my study period and constructive decisions in the process of research presentation. I would like also to express my gratitude to the head of the Specialized Academic Council, Doctor of Sciences in Economics, Professor Vlasenko, dear opponents, Doctor of Sciences in Economics, Professor Erefiev, PhD, Professor Executive Director of the Institute for Cross-Cultural Management at the Florida Institute of Technology, Griffith, for their attention, thorough analysis, and constructive comments to the thesis and recommendations for further research. As well, my gratitude goes to the respected reviewers for the dissertation, Doctor of Sciences in Economics, Professor Shapovalova, Candidate of Sciences in Economics, Associate Professor Maestrenko, for their time, attention, and support, for their in-depth analysis, constructive comments on the thesis, and instructions that I will take into account in my further scientific research. I would like to express my gratitude to all individuals and organizations who take part in my research development and presentation, as well as to organizations sending feedback on my thesis. Thank you all so much. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you also very much. So, dear colleague, it's time to vote. Important. Attention, it's important. So, according to the current procedure, the Council makes a decision by open voting, during which each member of the one-time Council openly expresses his or her position in favor of awarding or refusing to award the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Who wants to start? Please let me propose to be the first. The official opponent, Sergey Olegovich Arefsik, Doctor of Science in Economics, Professor of the Department of Management Technology, National Aviation University. Welcome. You have the floor.
So, thanks. And I think that Захист Даніели deserves to be awarded the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of knowledges, the management and administration, in the specialty 073 management, and I vote for.
Okay, it's clear. Thank you. Welcome. Our official opponent, Richard Griffiths, PhD in philosophy, in psychology. I'm very sorry. Professor, Executive Director of the Institute for Cross-Cultural Management at the Florida Institute of Technology, Melbourne, Florida, United States of America. You have the floor. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I believe that Daniela's dissertation deserves to be awarded the PhD degree, so I vote to confirm. Whoa.
Thank you. It's clear, absolutely. Okay, our reviewer, Inga Alexeyevna Shapovalova, Doctor of Science and Economics professor of the Department of Enterprise Economics and Business Organization, Kharkiv National University of Economics. Welcome.
Цихетнер-Хіртенлінер Даніела thesis meets all the requirements for a PhD thesis in terms of its content, and Цихетнер-Хіртенлінер Даніela deserves to be awarded the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of knowledge management and administration in specialty management. Therefore, I vote for.
Okay, it's clear. Thank you.
Therefore, I vote for.
Our reviewer, Olga Valentina,
clear. Thank you.
Candidate of Science in Economics, Associate
Our
Professor,
reviewer, Olga Valentina,
Professor of the Department of Management
in
and
Economics, Associate Professor
of Economics,
Professor of the Department of Management and Business, Application of Economics.
I enjoy the opinion of my colleagues. I vote for.
Okay, it's clear. Thank you. So, my opinion as the chairman of the board is that Daniela Цихетнер-Хіртенлінер thesis meets all the requirements for the PhD thesis in the field of its content, and its author, Цихетнер-Хіртенлінер Daniela, deserves to be awarded the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of knowledge management and administration in specialty 073 management. Therefore, I join all members of the council, and I also vote for. And one moment, welcome, please. All the members of the Specialized Academic Council expressed a positive opinion about the result of Цихетнер-Хіртенлінер Daniela's research and voted for awarding her the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of knowledge 07 Management and Administration in specialty 073 Management. Let us record this decision by a show of our hands, please. We need to vote for. I want to ask you all. 1, 2, 3, 5. Super. Thank you very much. So, at last, based on the result of the open voting, as well as based on the fulfillment of the requirements of the procedure for awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy and the cancellation of the decision of the one-time Specialized Academic Council of the Institution of Higher Education, a scientific institution, on awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, approved by the resolution of the Cabinet of Ministry of Ukraine, dated 12th of January 2022, number 44, the Specialized Academic Council, DF, number 64.0, 55.035, award Цихетнер-Хіртенлінер Daniela the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of knowledge 07 Management and Administration with the specialty 073 Management. My congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Super.
Congratulations.
So at this point, the meeting of the Specialized Scientific Council is considered closed. So the official part is over.